When we think of the cold, most of us picture Antarctica, a distant white world stretching to the horizon. But there is another land just as unforgiving, Siberia, in the Russian Federation. There you will find Yakutsk, a city often called the coldest on Earth. What surprises many people is that Yakutsk is not a silent outpost in the snow. It is a bustling city filled with stories and color. How do people that small next to such vast nature build a life of their own? Today, we go looking for the answer. If you love journeys that touch truly different places, please support Chaos Travel by subscribing and turning on notifications so you are with us every time a new trip goes live. First, let us place Yakutsk on the map of Russia. The city is the capital of the Sakha Republic, also known as Yakutia, the largest federal subject in Russia's Far East. Yakutsk sits about 450 kilometers south of the Arctic Circle, about 745 kilometers from the coast, and tucks into the Tumda Valley on the left bank of the Lena River. The urban area covers about 122 square kilometers, with a population of roughly 355,000. It is the largest city in the world built on permafrost, a stubborn layer of frozen ground that does not melt. That foundation helps create the severe climate here, a place where a few seconds outdoors in winter can freeze almost anything. Water at a rolling boil tossed into the air can turn into icy mist in an instant. It sounds like a story, but in Yakutsk, it is everyday life. The average annual temperature is about minus 8.8 degrees Celsius. On paper, that may not seem the worst, but the challenge is how long and how deep the winter runs. Typical winter months hover around minus 37 to minus 40 degrees, and the city once recorded a low of minus 64.4 degrees in the year 1891. Winter is the longest season, with frost and snow from October through April, and during that stretch, the thermometer almost never climbs above freezing. The air carries a cold, metallic scent, the wind hisses softly, and every sound seems smaller in a space that feels frozen solid.
In the yard.
Fortunately, Yakutsk is not only ice.
Solid.
When summer arrives, from about May to late September, the sun brings a warmth that soaks into the land. Temperatures then often range from 20 to 30 degrees, and at times reach 40. That contrast makes Yakutsk one of the places with the widest yearly temperature range in the world. Bitterly cold in winter, bright and hot in summer. Rainfall is scarce, about 235 millimeters per year, mostly in summer. Those are the gentler months to roam the wild country north of the city and watch the white nights, when the sun barely sets and the sky glows a pale blue. You hear the Lena River lap against the rock, like the slow breath of the land. In that warm window,
Yakutsk comes alive with the Yusyak Summer Festival, one of the two biggest celebrations of the Sakha people. It is usually held on the last weekend of June. Thousands dress in vibrant traditional clothing and gather at Uskut, a suburban area of the city, to greet the sun, give thanks for life after a long winter, and wish for a new year full of energy. Ancient rites blend with music, circle dances, folk games, and the aromas of traditional dishes drifting in the wind. Yusyak is more than a ritual. It is a spiritual anchor where people send off simple but deep hopes for health and peace, a place to speak their gratitude to Mother Nature. When we talk about cold in Russia, there is another city on permafrost, whose annual average temperature is even lower than Yakutsk. That is Norilsk, in the Krasnoyarsk region, home to about 220,000 people. Norilsk averages about minus 9.6 degrees a year. Yet in the winter months and at its coldest records, Norilsk is notably warmer than Yakutsk. Typical winter averages run from minus 24 to minus 31, and the coldest record is around minus 53.1. The comparison highlights Yakutsk's distinct character, a place where winter is both longer and harsher, shaping every corner of daily life. Harsh as it is, Yakutsk is home to a large community. About 1/3 of the entire population of the Sakha Republic lives here. The Sakha, or Yakut people, make up about 50.6%. Ethnic Russians about 38.4%, Ukrainians about 1.4%, Evenks about 1%, with other minorities filling the rest. The two most common languages are Russian and Sakha. Sakha belongs to the Turkic family, yet it contains a layer of vocabulary with unclear origins, older words linked to Mongolic languages, and many modern borrowings from Russian. Walk through the market, and you hear a blend of sounds. Russian phrases, woven with warm Sakha words, the cadence like wind through a pine forest. To become the community it is today, this land traveled a very long road. Humans were here in ancient times, and the earliest groups likely counted only a few hundred. By the 13th century, Sakha people from across Siberia settled and built villages along the river. In 1632, Russian explorers moved up the Lena River and built a wooden fort, laying Yakutsk's first foundations. Its position at the crossing of water and land routes, linking the northern regions and the Far East, turned it into a hub of trade, administration, and the military for eastern Siberia. From here, scientific and military expeditions set out, opening new chapters across this frozen country. Merchants put down roots and traded for furs from local hunters. In the late 19th century, a gold rush swept across Yakutia. Thousands came with dreams of changing their fortunes. Hotels rose, a telephone center opened, museums appeared, a power plant began to run, and the streets grew busy. In the years that followed, the world again looked to Yakutsk as the region revealed diamond deposits, coal mines, and an astonishing haul of mammoth remains and other ancient animals preserved whole in the ice. This land is like a giant freezer for time, keeping the stories of nature for thousands of years. It is both an economic resource and a scientific treasure that keeps researchers coming back. Thanks to its resources and location, Yakutsk became the economic, administrative, political, cultural, and scientific center of the Sakha Republic and the Russian Far East. The population climbed fast, from about 7,000 in 1917 to nearly 200,000 by the year 2000. Growth came not only from births, but from waves of newcomers from rural Russia and several Central Asian countries, seeking new opportunities. The city spread outward. Concrete roads crisscrossed. Wooden houses stood next to concrete blocks. Summer sunlight lay across flowered balconies. Winter warmth glowed through window panes. A cityscape no other place can quite copy. Newcomers always ask, how do people in Yakutsk live through months of -40 and -50? Part of the answer is adaptation that runs through genetics and culture over many generations. But that alone is not enough. To live well in a place like this, residents have built a full system of solutions, from clothing and food to daily routines, public infrastructure, and the way homes are designed. We are about to step into those details, where every small choice is a trick for winning winter. That story continues right after this. To live comfortably with Yakutsk's skin cutting cold, you start by dressing the right way. Winter here leaves no room for guesswork. People layer light to heavy. Inner layers trap warmth. Outer layers block wind, and every gap at the wrists, ankles, and collar is sealed. Natural fur coats remain popular because they are light and hold heat well. On your feet go reindeer skin boots or thick felt boots with extra dry insulation. Out on the street, you will see faces showing only a pair of eyes, the rest wrapped like a moving cocoon. In the wind, eyelashes frost over into white crystals. No matter how many layers you wear, 5 to 10 minutes outside can make fingers and toes ache, your body burning energy fast. In Yakutsk, winter strolling is not a pastime. It is a fitness test, so people only go out when they truly need to.
daily life turns inward to warm rooms where the temperature is steady. The city runs on district heating that delivers steam from central plants into neighborhoods. What will surprise you is that most digging is difficult, and underground lines would crack as the ground expands and contracts with the seasons. Even in summer, the surface may thaw, but the ground below stays deeply cold. So keeping the network above ground makes maintenance safer and easier. Living on permafrost means understanding the very floor under your feet. Permafrost is soil that stays below 0 degrees Celsius for at least 2 consecutive years. In some places, it sits a few centimeters under the surface. In others, it reaches hundreds of meters deep. It is not pure ice. It is a mix of ice, soil, sand, and rock, and it stores large amounts of ancient organic matter. When the frozen matrix is stable, everything inside it rests. Warm it up, and it can break down, releasing methane and carbon dioxide, and disturbing the environment. That is why every piece of infrastructure in Yakutsk, from pipelines to houses, is designed to keep that layer stable. In the suburbs, where district heating does not reach, families stack cords of firewood to get through the long winter. Water is its own winter story. When the ground is too hard for wells and the water table is frozen, people cut blocks of ice from rivers and streams, haul them home, and stand them in bins. In a warm room, the ice melts into clear, sweet water. Food storage is also simpler thanks to the cold. A refrigerator is optional because meat, fish, and even some produce can hang right outside the window, where the air is colder than a freezer. The dry wind seals the surface and keeps flavors bright for a very long time. The food culture leans into steaming bowls and high-energy dishes. Soup that sends up clouds and hearty stews are staples through the long, cold months. The local dessert, kyorchek, blends sour cream, fresh milk, and berries, rich and slightly tart, cool and fragrant. Indigirka salad is made with diced frozen fish, tossed with onion, oil, salt, and pepper, crisp to the bite and gently sweet. Fish are often taken through holes cut in the ice of the river, and as soon as they are pulled from the water, they seize solid in the air. In the markets, you will see these stone-hard fish set out on boards. No refrigeration required, yet the flesh stays clean and fresh. Not everyone can stay indoors. People still go to work, and children still go to school. An unwritten rule is that if the temperature is above minus 40 degrees Celsius, classes are open. Kids learn young how to dress, cover exposed skin, keep moving, and breathe steadily. Public transit keeps running, buses arrive close to schedule, and both drivers and passengers know how to handle the special conditions. Late at night, many families call taxis for safety. Those who drive their own construction may be Yakutsk's toughest puzzle. Every substantial building is lifted above the ground. Crews drive piles down into the frozen layer, then set foundations on columns to create an air gap under the structure. The goal is to stop heat from the building from thawing the permafrost below. If the ice softens and melts, the ground subsides and the heavy frame above can tilt. No matter how carefully you build, after a few years, some structures lean a little, a quirk that makes for striking photos and a steady workload for engineers. When deep cold slows mining in the region, the work of reinforcing and adjusting buildings grows even busier. Timelines stretch far beyond normal. In addition to insulated piles, builders raise floors 2 to 3 meters above grade and suspend heating lines and utilities, wrapping them in heavy insulation. Every element is designed to avoid warming the frozen ground. These measures sound demanding, but for people in Yakutsk, they are daily habits. Many families with generations rooted here say they have no wish to leave. The severe cold is both a test and a point of pride. They stay to keep their language, festivals, and customs alive, and to care for the city, making it greener, cleaner, and more livable in their own way. Thanks to them, Yakutsk is not only a place of negative numbers on a thermometer, it is a destination with a spirit. Travelers come not just to feel -40 on their skin, but to meet a community that knows how to coexist with weather and prevail. Visitors in winter often want to try themselves against the cold, to watch their breath turn to white vapor in midair. But if you stay longer, you will find that beyond the ice and snow is a bright cultural heritage and a set of compelling places to see. In the city center stands an old town, recreated in the style of the 19th century. Rows of wooden houses, shop fronts, administrative buildings, and the remains of the old jail have been rebuilt from photographs, paintings, and archival plans. The original quarter was destroyed by a major fire late in the 20th century, so the restoration began in the early 2000s and wrapped up around 2006. Walking those timbered streets, you feel as if you are flipping open a history book. Floorboards creak softly, and a hint of pine resin rides the cool air. One standout here is the Church of the Transfiguration of the Savior. The first version was built in 1846, notable for a multi-tiered bell tower, rich ornament, and finely crafted icons. Through many upheavals, the church suffered heavy damage in the 1930s and 1980s. Only in 2001 was it fully rebuilt. Today, it stands in renewed splendor, a spiritual anchor and a clear landmark within the restored old quarter. If you love deep time, you cannot miss the Mammoth Museum. Yakutsk sits atop a vast slab of ash meta, pause, secative, 0.05, preserving ancient animal remains for thousands of years, without decay. The museum was founded in 1991 by a prominent local researcher to collect, study, and display Ice Age specimens. Through repeated expeditions and digs, scientists have recovered a large number of fossils, not only mammoth bones but also woolly rhinoceros, bison, and musk ox. The museum now holds more than 2,000 specimens and features 17 themed exhibit spaces, along with vivid images that explain ice and ancient rocks, helping visitors picture the climate and geology of the past. About 160 kilometers southwest of the city center lies Lena Pillars Nature Park, where giant stone columns rise straight up along the river to form a breathtaking natural wall. The protected area was established in 2012 and covers roughly 13,870 square kilometers. The pillars stand between 150 and 300 meters tall and run for about 40 kilometers along the right bank of the Lena River, a forest of stone from a distance. Geologists believe the formation is the result of erosion that began around 500 million years ago, as tectonic forces and river water carved the mountains, splitting them into dense ranks of rock towers. The park has yielded fossils of bison, mammoths, and other ancient mammals, and it preserves crucial geological records tied to major events in the history of life on Earth. For its natural beauty and scientific value, Lena Pillars was inscribed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2012. Drift past by boat at sunset and watch cold light spill across the rock, the wind carrying the smell of water and moss, and you will understand why people call it a treasure of the Far East.
The cold in Oymyakon is so extreme, even the most durable vehicles would fail without proper preparation. If a vehicle is left outside for even a few hours without the engine running, it completely freezes and won't start again without a full defrosting process.
A short summer makes you cherish every sunny day.
We'll use a jet heater.
Festivals,
We're not sure if it'll start.
museums, and the heritage of stone and ice weave together into an experience that lingers.
These Yakutian
When you
horses
leave
don't need heated
Yakutsk,
shelters,
you may carry a
as they can
strange
endure
mix of
minus.
feelings, deep respect for human endurance, and a familiar warmth, because everywhere on Earth, the wish to live well and love one's home feels the same.